Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome to my little garden shed and welcome to this short tech info video that I wanted to make for a long time. You click the thumbnail so you know this is about a broken ABS sensor or ABS sensor related fault code on a Hyundai, in this case my personal Hyundai i10, but this also applies to other Hyundai and Kia models. So there are a lot of videos on this subject, and a lot of these videos end up with replacing the ABS sensor and you're good to go. But it can be a bit more complicated, and I learned that the hard way. And if you don't know what to do next, you can end up spending a lot of money on buying new parts or eventually going to the official dealership to fix your problem, because there's some very tricky catch to this. Anyway, let's get started. So my problem started in July earlier this year. I had to run some errands in the evening hours, been using the car all day without any sign of problems, and that evening I pulled out of the parking spot and right away the ABS and traction control light came on, and in this case the traction control light also acts as an indicator / warning light for the electronic stability program. Now the problem is I only have this OBD2 reader, which is only capable of reading powertrain related fault codes and a little bit of live data. So all fault codes starting with a P. Now I knew that I would have an issue with the ABS system, and that's an area that scanner cannot read. And I don't like being too dependent on workshop nowadays. So what I did, I watched some videos on YouTube on more advanced scan tools, and I bought this one. It set me back 230 euros, and this is a ThinkDiag Mini 3, and it has a Bluetooth connection. So you put this in the OBD2 plug, and then you can walk around freely using the scan tool. This came in a week and a half later. I scanned the car for fault codes, went very quickly. This is what it came up, and the one that's important here is the C1209 fault code, indicating a signal error coming from the rear right ABS sensor. Car then had 270,000 kilometers, was 9 years old. I went online and I bought an entire assembly, including the bearing and the sensor. This here is the assembly that came off. On the back here is the sensor. That'll set you back 15 euros. And a good quality brand replacement is, as I said, is 60 euros. This sensor indeed is broken. I tested over here on the bench. No signal came out. Ordered a new assembly. Put it on, put everything back on. If you want to know more about the replacement procedure, I'll recommend one of the other videos on this subject. I didn't film that. I put everything back on, and I still had the same problems with the exact same fault code. So what was going on? If you know what I know now, you can save a lot of money. The first thing that I did is reconnect the OBD2 tester or my scan tool again and look at the live data. I pulled up the module for the ABS unit and looked at the live data from the wheel speed sensors. All wheels except the rear right one would give a signal. Something was wrong. So that meant I had to look into how this system works, and understanding the system is key, and it's very simple. So I made some drawings to explain what I did to solve this problem. So what's important to know is that the ABS unit in front of the car, it sits in the engine bay on the right hand side of the car, is basically the ABS and stability program module. There's a main connector on there, and there's a lot of wires going through the entire car, and the ones that are important are the ABS sensors. Now this is a wire running from the engine bay all the way along the car, and there is an intermediate connector that sits in the trunk, and for the right hand side it's on the strut tower on the right hand side. Made a short video on it to show you where it is, and on the right hand side it's quite accessible, and from there it goes into the wheel well, the top, and it connects on the rear of the ABS sensor, which is this thing here. So basically this sensor over here, that's what that represents. Now what you need to do is measure several things, and what's important is continuity, because the fault code said the signal was invalid or missing, but it can also be a broken wire, so you don't have continuity, and also there can be some moisture inside this connector. And what also happens is that the clamping force in these connectors just goes away after a couple of years, even though the connector never has been disconnected after the car left the factory. So here was a problem at hand. This is my multimeter, and the leads are very short, and I have to measure here from the main connector on the ABS unit to the connector in the trunk and to over here. And those are 4 sections, so I have to do 4 measurements over this distance, which is pretty tricky. But there is a simple and neat trick to simply do this, which I'll show you. Here it is. What I did, I put a jumper wire on the connector that connects to the back of the ABS sensor, so there's a jumper wire over here, and then measure on the right pins in the main connector. And in this case, for the Hyundai i10, those are pin 33 and 34. And if you measure continuity and not too much resistance, you have to have a low resistance. You know that everything in this path, this signal path, is working fine. So you know the continuity of those 4 wires in total, and also on the connector over there. So I performed this measurement and found nothing wrong. The resistance also was very low in this here, so that told me that everything was in working order. But then I still hadn't found the cause of my problem. Now the problem I had is that I didn't have the correct technical data and information to solve this problem. I knew that the wiring was good, and I can only assume that the new sensor is good, but the problem nowadays is that a lot of new parts are broken straight out of the box. So, but thanks to my work, I got hold of the technical wiring diagram and some schematics, and I put a link up to those schematics. They are in Dutch in the description of this video, so I hope they are also helpful to you. So I had to focus on the rear right ABS sensor, and I didn't know what to do. Then one of the diagnostic technicians by the name of Hans helped me out a great deal. He said, did you try to cross-connect the rear sensors? And I didn't see how that would help me, but I did it anyway. So I connected the plug for the left-hand side sensor to the right-hand side sensor, and the other way around. I made up some wires, some long jumper wires, put them in between. And as soon as I did that, and when driving the car, the warning lights were still on, but by looking in the live data, I could see I had 4 working wheel speed sensors. So apparently the new sensor that I put on wasn't broken, and it worked perfectly fine. So that gave me peace of mind, and removed the wires and connected everything as it came from factory. And then I still had the same issue with the rear right sensor, telling me that there was no signal coming from there. That's when I found out what the problem was. When I cross-connected those wires left to right and right to left, I accidentally made a mistake in the pin out. I tried to connect the wires and following the exact same pin out of the connector and the connector on the back of the sensor, this one here. But in this case I made a mistake and I crossed the wires to the rear right connector. So what I wanted to try is to cross connect the wires on the rear right hand side. So when I cross connected the wires on the rear right sensor and I turned the hub around slowly, all of a sudden I had a speed signal. And that was key into solving my problem. The new wires, the pin out on the new connector, were the other way around. So I cut off the connector, I soldered the wires on backwards, put heat shrink over there. I could erase all fault codes, and the ABS light has never been on again. And for now, for 5,000 kilometers, the car has been running perfectly fine. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If it did, let me know by giving me a like, comment to this video, or subscribe to my channel. I got new technical information videos on the Hyundai i10 coming up. So anyway, thanks for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.